Howdy howdy, Pseudo here. This is our second battle in the Dwarfs versus the Old World series, and I have to thank everyone for sending battles in. I'm trying to go through them as fast as I can. I don't have a ton of time, but it's really fun to see these fights because they're all kinds of interesting in many different ways, and I've got a great one for you today. Marcello sent me in a battle, and he kind of put in the comments, you know, he was going for something a little different, and he had an idea in mind when he put this army together against the vampire counts, and when I watched it, I was, hopefully there's some Monty Python fans out there, because I was reminded of the quest for the Holy Grail. If you remember the part where they ask, you know, what else burns? More witches! No, my friend. The undead also burn. And that was the theme behind this army. And it's just fantastic. So, Marcello has 2 units of Iron Drakes in his army. One on this flank and one on this flank. He's got a flame cannon, which I've been wanting to test. I've done a little bit of testing, but this thing has come down in price, and it's looking fairly strong. For the rest of his range, he's got a unit of quarrelers on this side and 2 units of quarrelers on this side. What he also brought, though, which is really fun, is some units of miners with blasting charges. He's ranked them up a bit, and now ranking your units up is generally a decent value. It gives you a lot of options to do things with your army, and Marcello has put that to use, bringing 3 units of these miners with blasting charges. And I'll note, for anyone thinking about using them, this is the correct way to use them. You want to put them behind your front lines so they can get their blasting charges off, and then you can redeploy them wherever you want. So for his mainline infantry, he's had an interesting configuration here. He has his Hodors on the side, these dwarf warriors. Coming into the middle has a unit of Longbeards, then a unit of Ironbreakers for dead center, another unit of Longbeards, and finally another unit of Hodors on this side. And you'll see as the battle plays out, I think the idea behind this was to keep an incredibly strong center, and then to deploy his ranged units and his support units. Oh, he's got some Hodors at the back too, but his ranged units and his support units to his left flank or his right flank, depending on how the battle played out. And it's a really fun way to do this. He's got the hill advantage, which is good. So in his back line, he's also got 2 units of Slayers. We know how good those Slayers can be against the vampire counts. And for his leadership, he has Thorgrim Grudgebearer, of course, with the +8 melee buff. He's got a Runesmith here with a number of buffs as well. The Rune of Oath and Steel, the Rune of Negation, things like that. And he's got 1 Thane out front to help bolster this front line and make it incredibly strong. So the army he was facing, I fast forwarded it a little bit because they started apart, but the vampire counts has brought a fodder line of all these skeleton warriors, and they're fairly weak against the dwarfs. As I said before, I think for the price of some zombies, you might get just as good a result. And he's brought 3 of these corpse carts rather, they're about 500 gold a piece, I think, and they regenerate the army. So I think the idea behind this army is, again, another attempt at regeneration. He's brought a bunch of Crypt Horrors. We know we've got 5 units. We know these are armor piercing, regenerating, poison. They can be a very strong unit, but you have to use them wisely. And finally, for his infantry, has 1 unit of Cairn Wraiths, and these units can be problematic. And that's specifically why Thorgrim is so fantastic against the vampire counts. He also brought 2 units of Vargheists on this flank. He's ranked them up a bit. And 2 units of Fellbats. Now, these guys can be useful, but they are not going to survive long in melee. And for his leadership, he's brought Manfred von Karstein on foot. And Manfred has a bunch of different spells, and we'll see some of those go off. So without without further ado, we're going to let some of those undead burn. And I see they're almost into range here. I think, yeah. So Marcello's going to kind of target down this corpse cart. He's going to use his focus fire really well in this game to try and get these regenerative units out of the way. And very soon we're going to see the... Here comes the first volley from that flame cannon. And it is... it's so powerful. And here come the blasting charges from the iron breakers, another volley, and here come the flame cannons. It's just an absolute undead roast as they come in, and all the miners that they're blasting charges are getting off their shots. You can see over there, it's just absolute carnage as they come into the line, which is fantastic to watch. And he's brought in his Fellbats on this side to try and tie up these guys. And what we missed is he used that purple sun of Xevios or something on these Iron Drakes and took a ton of health off them. That was a very, very powerful spell. So Manfred's kind of posted up back here, and already you can see just tons of damage. So Marcello's re-targeted these Crypt Horrors, and one of the things you're going to see is some of these Crypt Horrors are going to get into the line, and now these miners are going to engage. The flame cannon can target pretty close. He's going to be able to target right into his line in a lot of cases. And same with these Iron Drakes. If you target something that's tall, something that's big like this, you can definitely get in some damage. And you can see here, these Iron Drakes are shooting right over his line, and so are the flame cannons. And one of the advantages is, you can see how much damage it's doing to these Crypt Horrors. He brought in his, I do believe he brought in his Slayers over here. Yep. So the Vampire Counts raised a group of zombies back here to try and get into these Iron Drakes. He's definitely trying to focus them down and get them out of the battle as fast as he can. But these Iron Drakes here are just going to work, and the Flame Cannon is going to work. And you can see it has a fairly high arc, and he's just going to continue to put shots into these Crypt Horrors, and their health is just going to go down so fast. And because the Dwarfs have so much armor, it's not going to be such a big deal. They're going to be able to take that damage. Now this side of his line has collapsed. He's been able to maintain this side okay, but this side has definitely collapsed. You can see those Iron Drakes just going to work, and he's brought over his Cairn race to this side, and this is where Thorgrim is going to be good. I believe he's going to bring Thorgrim to the side. He's got his Thane engaged with Manfred, and Manfred does have quite a bit of armor, so that's going to be a tough engagement. But one of the beauties that you're going to see, these Iron Drakes are just going to start firing into the Crypt Horrors, and so are these guys. Just watch how fast their health goes down. It's just fantastic. And our Hodors are doing a good job over here, just holding back these Cairn race until they can get support. So we've got on this side the Vargeist coming in, definitely a little too late, but look at those Iron Drakes go to work. It's just crushing. We've got, I believe Thorgrim is now going to come to support this side of the line, and he has his Quarrelers going to work on these Vargeists, and look at all the damage they're doing as they fly in. Quarreler is a fantastic unit against the Vampire Counts. They're really strong. Thorgrim is going to go over to this side to handle these Cairn race. Just eat these guys alive. So we lost a lot. He lost a lot of health just flying in. He's again going after the Iron Drakes, but these Slayers are going to come in and make short work. We've got on this side, Thorgrim's coming in, engaging on these Cairn race, just wanting to clean up that side of the battle. The Hodors have done their job. They've held the line, and watch how fast their health is going to go down. Thorgrim is just such a beast against these Cairn race with his magical damage. And back on this side, we got the Slayers coming in to engage these Vargeists. The other group of Vargeists is already dead. These Slayers did their job. They're taking them down incredibly fast. And I'll try and keep this one in the fray as well. But they just chew up these Vargeists. They're so good. And the rest of his line is just crumbling incredibly fast. Manfred is holding on for dear life. He's disintegrating. The whole line generally held on this side, but as you can see, by all the carnage. They were able to come and support with the Slayers, with the Quarrelers, targeting key units. But you know, the great thing about this battle is just it's just pure firepower, pun intended, was fantastic to watch. And I mean, hopefully I caught some good views of those flame cannons coming in, the satchel charges, and the Iron Drakes. But just a wonderful battle, and good use of the Slayers to come in and support. Good use of the Quarrelers targeting down his regenerative units. And we can see it when we look at the end plates. It was a close victory, but there are very, very few losses. And you know, Thorgrim is, I mean, he's just such a boss against the vampire counts. The Thane didn't do a whole lot as far as kills, but you got to think that Thane was engaged against Manfred for a good part of the battle. He was very well used to keep him tied up. Now these miners with blasting charges did not too bad. You know, they were ranked up, so they're a little bit more powerful. And this one got 75 kills. Yeah, well, a lot would have been against the skeleton warriors, but that's not terrible value. The dwarf warriors did their job. This was the unit against the Cairn race, I think. And I mean, the Longbeards are so fantastic. They're always strong. They're just such a good unit. The Slayers, this was the first unit of Slayers to engage, and this was the one that Marcello was using to defend his back line, to watch those Vargeist, to make sure everything was safe there. Ironbreakers, they did okay. They, you know, 30 kills is not what you'd want out of them normally, but they definitely tanked out damage in the front of that line. Now these Quarrelers, they didn't get a lot of kills, but you'll notice in the beginning of the battle they were targeting down those corpse carts. And I don't know where they are here. Yeah, so these corpse carts did very, very little. You know, Marcello did a good job of focusing them down with his ranged units and making sure they weren't a big part of the battle. But these Iron Drakes, and look at 127 kills with that flame cannon. And I was really surprised. You could see that flame cannon just kept firing for the whole battle. It has a great firing arc, and if you leave it just back far enough, it can still fire into your line. I was really impressed with that, because in my testing with the flame cannon, sometimes it's hard to get it to fire. It'll say it's obstructed and it won't start shooting, but when you have monstrous units like those Crypt Horrors, it will definitely get off some shots. And these Iron Drakes, they were shooting a lot at the Crypt Horrors again, but they were focused the entire game. And, you know, they were hit by magic, they were hit, their zombies were raised on top of them, they were hit by Vargeists, and they still managed 25 kills, and they still stayed around. Like, these Iron Drakes are very tanky. They have a lot of armor, good leadership, and did very well. And these other ones got 40 kills. Again, they were shooting into those Crypt Horrors, and also I think they got a few shots into the Cairn race. And for the Vampire Count army, I mean, obviously these guys aren't going to be into combat, but really, for the most part, these were the key units, these Crypt Horrors. That was the intention of this army, to tie up the front line with these skeleton and bring in the Crypt Horrors to clean up. And, you know, we had one unit that performed pretty well, but otherwise Marcello was able to manage those Crypt Horrors and just lay the beat down on them with his ranged units. I mean, that was crushing. And the Vargeist, they came in very late. I think the Animaphix, or whatever, that how you pronounce that, forgot about them in the beginning, didn't pay attention. These are the ones that got beat down by the Quarrelers as they flew in. And otherwise, they got 37 kills in this one unit. Really, you definitely want more out of them. And, you know, not bad. I mean, that group of dwarf warriors tanked out the damage against the Cairn race, and then Thorgrim came in and laid the smackdown. And that spell that went off, that Purple Sun of Zevus, or whatever it was, actually did a pretty good job against these Iron Drakes. I think that is one of the difficulties playing the dwarfs, if you're playing in a defensive mode, is you are vulnerable to those kind of area of effect spells. Even if they are not focused, if they wander around, they can do a lot of damage. In this case, they did, but Marcello was able to pull that one out. So it was a great fun fight. Love the theme of the army, and the execution of that theme was really fun to watch. Thank you so much, Marcello, for sending that in. Greatly appreciated. I hope everyone liked it, found it entertaining, and I hope I captured the right moments in the battle. I didn't kind of go up to a bird's eye view like I normally do, because I wanted to get some of those shots of those flame weapons coming in. Anyways, that's it for me, and I hope you found it interesting, and I'll see you soon.